Hey guys, welcome back to Journey Restore Part 15. I started recording a couple minutes ago and my camera decided to stop recording. We're going to work on the power supply tonight, and I made this power wire that plugs into the power brick. I wanted to show you guys how to use the Molex connector, but it stopped recording, so I don't have that. So, well, this is ready to get plugged in. Now we're going to get down on the floor here and solder up these wires. I'm just doing everything down on the floor because I'm going to be down there anyways. So we're going to solder up these wires. What I'm going to do is I cut them all the same length. These ones already had an end on them, so we're going to use these ones. I'm just going to zip tie them all together first here so that they're all kind of neat. They're a little bit long. I'm going to leave them long in case I want to change the location of where I'm mounting stuff, which I don't think I will, but you never know. There is a 12 volt, 5 volt, -5 ground and ground. Grab some zip ties here. Kind of make a little harness out of this. I want to solder these to this board and then put them into the power supply, because I definitely do not like how these go onto the power supply. They barely grab onto those clamps, and I just don't want it to loosen up over time or something like that. Zip tie this all together here real quick, a couple more, and we'll be ready to solder them to the board. I was going to set up a table and do it up on a table, but I'm going to be down here quite a bit, so I just figured it's easier just to do it down here. These are 18 gauge wire. Okay, splice the ends here. Cut them all the same length. To vacuum the floor after this. twist these and bend them over. Then I want to tin them with some solder on the wires first, and then we'll solder them to that board. Okay. All right, just wanted to get my soldering mat here so I'll get solder on the carpet. We're going to tin these wires first with a little solder. Okay. Now I'm going to mount this way. So we're going to use these pins over here. Let's start with the +5, which is going to be the red wire we're going to use for +5. You know, let me see if I can't put some solder on here first. Okay, I put solder on the ends of all those. Should be all we need. Next is ground. So we have our 2 ground wires next. Then we have our -5, which we're using blue. Then our 12 volts. Stick a little bit of solder over top. Just want to make sure these don't come loose. Okay. So now we got all those soldered on there. 12 volts, double check, 12 volts, -5, ground, ground, +5. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the on the terminals now before I mount this in the cabinet. So we start with -5, which is blue. Then we'll go to +12. Then we go +5. Then the last two are grounds. Okay, that's done. I found another ground strap that goes from the power brick to the PCB mount. And also we're going to use this cord here for our ground power and power to power this. And then we just have to find where we want to connect this into the cabinet so that it doesn't turn on until the cabinet's turned on. So I'm going to cut this back. Try not to cut too deep. The other side we're not going to cut down right now until I figure out where I wanted to bring it to. So for now, twist these. I'm going to use a crimp connector end, and then we're going to put a little solder on it. Let me see if I can find some ends. Okay, rather than soldering them, we're going to use these crimp connectors, and they have a shrink tube already connected to it. Just grab our wire here. You know what, I might be able to get a little solder right on that end there. We'll try it because I like to put a little solder on those if I could. So I'll let the wire hang out a little bit. Let's try to get a little solder on these. Okay, good. I was able to get a little solder to hold that end of that wire in there. Usually they won't yank out, but just to be on the safe side. And it gives a better connection. So now we will hook this up to the power supply. Black is our line, green is our ground. White is neutral. Okay, all our connections are finished. We're onto the board here. Let's grab some of these board mounting PCB mounts so that we can mount the board to the side of the cabinet. find some screws that actually fit in them. I don't know if those screws will fit through these little holes or not. I think so. Yep. You don't want to over tighten them and crack it. Actually, I'm going to spin them this way because it's actually going to sit in the cabinet that way. Okay, those are all on. Now we can get this mounted into the cabinet and the power supply. We're going to mount that board right here. What I want to do is plug these connectors in first. Got them in wrong? Yep, I do. That one goes down there. And then we have the power. And we're going to mount this part right here. Make sure that nothing's touching anything. Grab a couple screws. We're only going to use like 1/2 inch long screws. We don't need anything crazy. One more. A little bit hard to get to with those wires. Okay, now that's done. Like I said on the last video, I wanted to mount this back here so that I can easily reach the 5 volts to adjust it. I'm gonna have to get a bracket to mount that better because there's only one screw available at the top that I can see. Yeah, I'll have to get an L bracket to finish mounting that. So then this we're gonna mount, we have to wire that in still. And also we need to wire this to there. This is that plate that I made yesterday to hold the top of the PCB. Let's see how that works. I have not had a chance to test it yet. I have extras of these from other cabinets. I'm trying to use all the same hardware. So let's get this mounted to the piece of wood first. Alright, see if it slides over this. The back one. Perfect. Now this will slide back and forth a little bit because I don't have the part that goes down, but it's only going to go so far because it'll hit the board on each side. Okay, we are mounted. So our board is now mounted. A little bit loose. Try something here. Just trying to bend that bracket down a little bit. Might have to use some pliers. That's a little better. Just so it fits tighter onto the board. Like I said, I'm gonna leave this unplugged until we check voltages. And I dropped a screw. There it is. Okay. That's much better feeling. Much better. Okay. It's actually in there really good. Now that's done. Let's get this ground strap hooked up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hook it up to the terminal down here, and we will just take it over to this screw right here on the board. Just want to make sure I put it somewhere where it's not going to hit any connection to anything. I think I'm going to take this screw out here, stick it behind the board on the back side. Let me double check. Just want to make sure there's no traces or anything that it's going to rub against. Yep, we should be fine with that. Okay, that's grounded there. Now we'll hook it up to our lug down here, which I have to find. Now everything will be properly grounded. I think this is just for shock, so you don't get shocked. Whenever I part cabinets out, I try to save all these kind of parts because you never know when you'll need one. And this right here is a prime example. Why it's good to hang on to this stuff. The nut on the bottom of the lug came loose, so I had to tighten that up before I could put this nut back on. This top nut that holds all four of these. Okay, those are hooked up. Let's grab this that we made earlier that nobody got to see. This plugs into the power brick. Okay, this goes on the back side here. This gets screwed in to the cabinet. to keep this from wanting to pull out of the cabinet, I'm going to use one of these smaller ones that just fit tight around the wire. Actually, I'm going to get one that completely wraps around the wire. Let me go grab one. Okay, I have a whole box of different sizes of these that I keep. You can buy them fairly cheap if you buy them in bulk. But as it compared to the ones that go in the cabinet, they're open so that you can slide the wiring harness out of them. I want to have one that has 2 tabs so that when I put the screw in it, it really tightens. When I put the screw in it, it really tightens around the wire. I want it to be real tight so that it doesn't get pulled through the cabinet. This one's just a little too small. I have to go up one size. And I'm just going to use one of the 4 screws that hold this black piece of plastic on. Okay, now when it gets, if it gets yanked on, it's pulling on that strap rather than pulling on the Molex connector in the cabinet. Okay, so now we have power wire going to the cabinet. We have our power supply hooked up. We have our board hooked up. We have our everything plugged into the board. So all we have to do is find out where we're going to get power from. Usually I'll go to the monitor and take it from the monitor plug. I'll tap into that, but this monitor plug does not have a ground on it, and I want to make sure that this power supply is grounded because the monitor only has line and neutral because it's using this ground strap here on the monitor chassis. So I gotta figure out where I'm gonna do that. And then after that is hooked up, we're ready to check voltages. Then we gotta get a monitor hooked up, which I brought down the monitor that was in the cabinet when I got the game. And if you look over here, it's right down here. Now, what it looks like, what it is it looks like it's the old tube. It's got a little burn in, and it looks like somebody put a newer modern chassis on it. So they must have checked the ohms on the wiring before they put the newer chassis, because this is definitely an old tube. So there's a newer chassis on it with a remote board. So we'll test this out and see how it works, because there is a little screen burn, which you can't, it's hard to see on the camera, a little bit along here and stuff. But this gets that tinted plexiglass in front of the screen, so you might not even see that. So let me figure out where I want to tap in these power wires. Okay, here's what we're going to do. The ground wires go to the lug on the power brick. So we are going to put one of these terminals on the ground wire so that we can put it into there. And then we are going to splice into the 2 monitor wires, which are right here in the harness. We're going to solder them on, and we're going to heat shrink them on. Heat shrink tube them on. So that there'll be a nice good connection, and when the power switch is turned on, it'll power the power supply and the monitor. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to put one of these ends on the ground. You got to slip your rubber boot on first. Put this in the Molex tool. So we want to take this terminal here, put it into the tool, get it started, just like that. Stick our ground wire into it. I made it a little long and we're on. We'll slide this over top, and then we can put that right in with the other 3 ground wires onto that lug. So now I need to, normally I'll just strip them back and wrap these around them and solder the 2 together, but I really want to put some heat shrink tube on there, and I won't be able to do that if I don't cut these. So let me cut those. I gotta grab some heat shrink tube. I think I have some right here. This looks like a good size right here. That should be good. So we're gonna cut these. Sucks cutting a new harness, but I want to have a nice, good connection. And this can always get put back together if something were to happen. Okay, twist them. Might have to get a bigger size shrink tube. No, I'll make it. Let's cut off a good length of it. It's kind of pain in the butt working on the floor here. I'm going to try to slide this shrink tube up far so that the heat from soldering it doesn't start melting it. And I think what I'm going to do is normally I'll twist these together. I might still be able to. A little bit at least. Just enough to hold it. It's a good solid connection. Make sure to put the heat shrink tube on the other one. Okay. It's good. Okay, there we go. Nice connections. We can plug this back in. We can get all 4 wires plugged in. And then I want to strap this wire up along the back edge of the cabinet. Put a couple wire clamps on here. Okay. Let's get some voltages checked here. Plug this in, pull the interlock switch. Nothing yet, which means this switch off is off up here. Okay. We got some audio hum. I don't know what's causing that. I don't know what's causing the monitor hum yet, or the hum through the speakers yet. I don't know if it's the amp board that's causing it. Let me unplug the speakers for now and turn it back on. Okay, let's check some voltages on this power supply. .4, 4.8. So let's turn it up a little bit. Then we got to check it at the edge connector. Still getting a pretty good, a little bit of a hum. Almost wonder if it's the monitor light or the marquee light. Nope, still hear it. Five 5.1. 11.9. Okay. Should be good there. I guess I could maybe just set this monitor up on the floor over here and we'll just try to plug it in. Okay, I went to just power the monitor on without having the board plugged into it yet, and I'm not getting any neck glow. That monitor was working when I pulled it from the cabinet. I'm gonna have to look it over and see if there's something wrong with it. I don't know, I haven't checked it out. It's getting kind of late. Don't have any more time really tonight to work on it. But we do have a Journey marquee light. Turn the lights off down here. So I'm going to clean up around the cabinet tomorrow and look over the monitor. And if that monitor is kind of messed up, I'll worry about it later. I'll see if I can find another monitor to swap it out with, and we'll see if we can't get it to at least play Journey on the screen. As far as the audio hum, I don't know what that is yet. I don't know if this amp board could very well be screwed up. I bought it with not knowing if it worked or not. So other than that, that's going to wrap up part number 15. I will see if I can't get that monitor to work. If not, we'll find another one and we will see what happens. So that's going to wrap up this video. I will see you guys later.